Stop being too nice in 2026, because being too nice is one of the quietest ways people abandon themselves. It doesn't look dangerous at first. It looks polite. It looks humble. It looks respectful. But underneath it, there is fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. And that fear slowly teaches you to betray your own needs just to keep other people comfortable. Being too nice means you say yes when your mind and body are begging you to say no. It means you smile while someone disrespects you. It means you listen to everyone else's problems while your own life is falling apart. You tell yourself you're being patient, but deep down you're exhausted. You tell yourself you're being kind, but inside you feel invisible. That is not kindness. That is self-neglect. The truth is, when you are too nice, you teach people that your boundaries don't matter. You train them to believe your time is unlimited, your energy is free, and your feelings are optional. Not because people are cruel, but because human nature responds to what is allowed. If you never draw a line, people will keep walking forward. If you never speak up, people will assume you have nothing to say. Silence does not protect you. It slowly erases you. In 2026, you must understand this clearly. Sacrificing yourself does not make you noble, it makes you drained. Overgiving does not make you valuable, it makes you used. The world does not reward people who destroy themselves for approval. It respects people who know their worth and act accordingly. Respect is not begged for. It is built through consistency, clarity, and courage. Being too nice keeps you stuck in places you've outgrown. It keeps you in conversations that should have ended, relationships that should have evolved, situations that should have been left behind. You stay because you don't want to hurt anyone. But no one asks how much it hurts you to stay silent. No one asks what it costs you to keep shrinking. And the longer you stay too nice, the more resentment builds inside you. Resentment is a warning sign. It's your soul telling you that you've been crossing your own boundaries. It's the price you pay for saying yes when you mean no. And if you ignore it long enough, it turns into anger, burnout, and regret, not toward others, but toward yourself. Because deep down, you knew better. You just didn't choose yourself. In 2026, choosing yourself does not mean becoming rude or selfish. It means becoming honest. Honest about what you can give. Honest about what you won't tolerate. Honest about what you need to walk away from. Kindness without honesty is manipulation of the self. Real kindness includes self-respect. You don't owe everyone access to your life. You don't owe everyone your time. You don't owe everyone an explanation. Some people only stay around because you never say no. Some only respect you because you finally do. And when you stop being too nice, you'll notice something powerful. The wrong people get uncomfortable, and the right people get closer. People may say you've changed. They're right. You changed because the old version of you was tired of being taken for granted. Growth looks like arrogance to people who benefited from your silence. Boundaries look like betrayal to people who depended on your weakness. That doesn't make you wrong. It means you're finally growing. In 2026, stop confusing peace with avoidance. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the presence of self-respect. Sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to be free. Sometimes you have to disappoint others to stop disappointing yourself. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say no and walk away without explaining your pain. When you stop being too nice, you reclaim your power. Your words carry weight. Your presence commands respect. You no longer chase validation because you've learned how to validate yourself. You no longer need to be everywhere for everyone because you finally show up for your own life. This year is not about being liked. It's about being aligned. It's about living in truth instead of fear. It's about choosing long-term peace over short-term approval. And once you understand that being too nice was never your strength, but your limitation, everything changes. Stop betraying yourself to keep others comfortable. Stop shrinking so others can feel big. Stop giving discounts on your worth. In 2026, stand firm, speak clearly, and move with purpose. Because the moment you stop being too nice, you finally start being free. Stop being too nice in 2026, because being too nice has been costing you more than you realize. It has cost you your voice in rooms where you should have spoken. It has cost you respect in situations where you should have drawn a line. It has cost you time, energy, and opportunities you will never get back. You called it patience. You called it kindness. You called it being the bigger person. But deep down, you know the truth. You were afraid to disappoint people, so you disappointed yourself instead. Being too nice is not a virtue when it comes from fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being seen as difficult. That fear trains you to tolerate things that slowly wear you down. You accept behavior you don't agree with. You listen to words that diminish you. You stay quiet when something inside you is screaming to speak. And every time you do that, you send a message to yourself that your feelings come last. People don't always disrespect you because they want to hurt you. Most of the time, they disrespect you because you allow it. Human nature responds to boundaries. When there are none, people take more. They push further. They assume you'll always understand, always forgive, always adjust. And the more you adjust, the more invisible you become. In 2026, understand that being too nice teaches people how to treat you. Every time you laugh something off that hurts you, you normalize it. Every time you stay silent to keep the peace, you create chaos inside yourself. And that inner chaos doesn't disappear. It builds. It turns into resentment. It turns into exhaustion. It turns into that quiet anger you feel late at night when you realize you've been living for everyone else but yourself. You were not born to be a doormat for other people's comfort. You were not put here to carry emotional weight that isn't yours. And you were not meant to shrink your personality so others wouldn't feel threatened. That's not humility. That's self-erasure. Being too nice keeps you stuck in situations you've already outgrown. You stay because you don't want to hurt feelings. You stay because you remember the good times. You stay because you hope people will change. But hope without boundaries is just another form of self-abandonment. People change when they choose to, not when you suffer quietly for them. In 2026, learn the power of a calm no. No without anger. No without explanation. No without guilt. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you honest. And honesty is the foundation of self-respect. If something costs you your peace, it's too expensive, no matter how nice you're trying to be. Some people will react negatively when you stop being too nice. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're difficult. What they really mean is that you're no longer convenient. They were comfortable with the version of you that overgave and underasked. They were comfortable when you stayed quiet and available. Your growth disrupts that comfort. You don't need to argue with those people. You don't need to defend your boundaries. Your actions will speak for you. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop overextending, clarity enters your life. The people who respect you will adjust. The people who don't will remove themselves. Being too nice often means you confuse kindness with tolerance. True kindness includes self-protection. True kindness knows when to walk away. True kindness does not require you to bleed so others can feel whole. You can be compassionate and still be firm. You can be respectful and still be unmovable. In 2026, stop apologizing for things that don't require an apology. Stop saying sorry for having standards. Stop saying sorry for needing space. Stop saying sorry for choosing yourself. Every unnecessary apology chips away at your confidence and reinforces the idea that you are always wrong for existing as you are. When you stop being too nice, something shifts inside you. Your posture changes. Your voice steadies. Your decisions become cleaner. You stop reacting emotionally to everything because you're no longer operating from fear. You start moving with intention instead of obligation. You'll realize that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to save everyone. You don't have to fix what you didn't break. And you don't have to prove your worth by suffering silently. Your worth was never tied to how much you tolerate. Being too nice drains your future. It leaves you tired before you even begin. It steals your focus and replaces it with anxiety. In 2026, choose discipline over approval. Choose clarity over comfort. Choose respect over being liked. Because being liked has never built a strong life, but self-respect always has. Stop waiting for permission to take up space. Stop shrinking your truth to fit into someone else's expectations. Stop betraying yourself just to keep things smooth on the surface. Smooth on the outside and broken on the inside is not peace. It's a slow collapse. When you finally stop being too nice, you don't become heartless. You become whole. You become grounded. You become unshakable. And from that place, everything you give is real, not forced, not fearful, not draining. Stop being too nice in 2026 because being too nice has been quietly shaping your life in ways you never agreed to. It has trained you to accept less, to speak softer than you feel, and to wait longer than you should. It has convinced you that your value comes from how much you give, how much you tolerate, and how little trouble you cause. Over time, that belief turns into a habit, and that habit turns into a cage you built for yourself without realizing it. Being too nice often starts early. You learn that approval feels good. You learn that being agreeable keeps things calm. You learn that silence avoids conflict. So you adapt. You become the listener, the helper, the one who understands everyone. But nobody teaches you how dangerous it is to understand everyone while abandoning yourself. Nobody warns you that constantly choosing harmony over honesty will eventually cost you your identity. When you are too nice, you begin to confuse love with sacrifice and respect with tolerance. You stay in situations longer than you should because you don't want to seem ungrateful. You accept words and behaviors that hurt you because you don't want to seem sensitive. You carry emotional weight that isn't yours because you don't want to seem selfish. And each time you do this, you move a little further away from who you really are. The world responds to how you show up. When you show up without boundaries, people assume you don't need any. When you show up always available, people assume you have nothing else going on. When you show up always forgiving, people assume they never have to change. This isn't cruelty, it's conditioning. And if you don't interrupt it, it continues. In 2026, it's time to understand that being too nice has never protected you. It hasn't saved you from pain. It hasn't earned you loyalty. It hasn't guaranteed respect. All it has done is delay the moment when you finally have to stand up for yourself. And the longer you delay that moment, the heavier it becomes. You feel it in the exhaustion that doesn't go away. You feel it in the frustration that comes out at the wrong times. You feel it in the quiet anger you don't know how to explain. That's not negativity. That's your inner voice asking why you keep choosing everyone else over yourself. Being too nice makes you easy to overlook. Not because you lack value, but because you hide it. You minimize your needs. You downplay your achievements. You soften your opinions. And eventually, people stop seeing you clearly because you stop presenting yourself clearly. In 2026, clarity is power. Clear boundaries, clear standards, clear decisions. You don't need to be aggressive to be firm. You don't need to be loud to be strong. You don't need to be cruel to be respected. You just need to be consistent. Consistency teaches people what you will and will not accept without you having to explain it every time. There will be moments when choosing yourself feels uncomfortable. Saying no will feel heavy at first. Walking away will feel wrong even when it's right. Disappointing others will trigger guilt. That guilt is not a sign that you're doing something bad. It's a sign that you're breaking a pattern that once kept you safe. Some people will resist the new version of you. They'll test your boundaries. They'll question your tone. They'll bring up the past and remind you of who you used to be. Not because they miss you, but because they miss the access they had to you. And that's where your discipline matters most. Being too nice makes you reactive. You respond to other people's needs before checking in with your own. You rearrange your priorities to avoid tension. In 2026, learn to pause. Learn to choose. Learn to ask yourself what something will cost you before you agree to it. Your time and energy are not unlimited, no matter how kind your heart is. You don't need to explain every decision. You don't need to justify every boundary. You don't need to convince everyone that you're still a good person. Good people don't abandon themselves to prove their goodness. They live with integrity, even when it's misunderstood. Being too nice often hides fear behind a smile. Fear of being left, fear of being judged, fear of being alone. But the truth is, the more you abandon yourself, the lonelier you become, even in crowded rooms. Real connection requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. In 2026, courage looks like choosing long-term peace over short-term approval. It looks like allowing silence instead of over-explaining. It looks like walking away without drama. It looks like letting people feel however they feel about your growth without trying to manage their emotions. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow roles you never chose. You are allowed to protect your peace without apologizing for it. The version of you that survived by being too nice did what it had to do. Honor that version, but don't stay there. When you stop being too nice, you don't lose your kindness. You refine it. You direct it. You stop wasting it on people and situations that drain you and start investing it where it can grow. And from that place, you move differently. You speak differently. You live differently. 2026 is not asking you to harden your heart. It's asking you to strengthen your spine. It's asking you to stop shrinking your truth and start standing in it. Because the moment you stop being too nice, you stop living on the edge of yourself and finally step fully into who you are. Stop being too nice in 2026, because being too nice has quietly been shaping your life in ways you never agreed to. It has been deciding how people speak to you, how much they value you, and how far they think they can go. You didn't choose this role out of weakness. You chose it out of habit. Somewhere along the way, you learned that keeping the peace was safer than telling the truth, that being agreeable was easier than being firm, and that silence felt less risky than confrontation. But easy choices come with hard consequences. Being too nice often starts with good intentions. You want harmony. You want to be respected. You want to be seen as a good person. But when niceness replaces honesty, it becomes a mask. You smile when something bothers you. You nod when you disagree. You accept behavior that slowly eats away at your confidence. You tell yourself it's not worth the trouble. But what you're really saying is that your feelings are not worth defending. People don't wake up planning to take advantage of you. They simply respond to what you allow. When you always adjust, people assume you will continue to adjust. When you always forgive, people stop being careful. When you are always available, people stop valuing your time. This is not cruelty, it's human behavior. And if you don't change your behavior, the pattern will repeat. In 2026, you have to realize that being too nice has kept you smaller than you are. It has made you hesitate when you should act. It has made you doubt yourself even when you were right. It has made you overthink simple decisions because you were more concerned about how others would feel than how you would live with yourself afterward. There is a cost to being overly agreeable. That cost is paid in missed opportunities, unspoken truths, and unresolved anger. It shows up as stress you can't explain and fatigue that rest doesn't fix. It shows up when you feel unfulfilled even though you're always doing things for others. It shows up when you look at your life and realize you've been reacting instead of leading. You don't need to become aggressive to stop being too nice. You need clarity. Clarity about what you stand for. Clarity about what you will accept. Clarity about what you will walk away from without guilt. Boundaries are not walls, they are instructions. They teach people how to interact with you. Without them, people will write their own rules, and you won't like the outcome. Being too nice often comes from the fear of being disliked, but being liked has never guaranteed respect. In fact, the more you chase approval, the more you give it away. Respect comes from consistency, not compliance. From self-control, not self-sacrifice. From knowing when to give and when to stop. In 2026, stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. Stop justifying decisions that protect your peace. You don't owe everyone a detailed reason for your boundaries. The right people will understand without explanation. The wrong people will demand explanations forever and still ignore them. There will be moments when saying no feels uncomfortable. Let it. Discomfort is not danger. It is growth. Every time you choose honesty over niceness, you strengthen your sense of self. Every time you hold your ground calmly, you send a message to yourself that you matter. And that message changes how you move through the world. Some people will react when you stop being too nice. They may test you. They may accuse you of changing. They may try to guilt you into old patterns. This is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that the dynamic has shifted. Stay steady. You don't need to prove anything. Your consistency will do that for you. Being too nice has taught you to absorb things you should have addressed. In 2026, address them. Speak calmly. Speak clearly. Speak once if necessary. You don't need to repeat yourself endlessly. You don't need to argue your worth. Your willingness to walk away from disrespect will say more than any speech. Stop confusing kindness with endurance. Kindness does not require you to tolerate what harms you. Compassion does not demand self-destruction. You can care deeply and still choose distance. You can love people and still choose yourself. When you stop being too nice, your life becomes quieter in the best way. Less drama, less confusion, less internal conflict. Your energy becomes focused. Your decisions become cleaner. You stop carrying emotional weight that was never yours to carry. You begin to notice how much strength there is in restraint, in not reacting immediately, in not over-explaining, in not chasing closure from people who never offered respect. You learn that walking away with dignity is more powerful than staying and suffering politely. In 2026, let your actions reflect your self-respect. Let your silence come from confidence, not fear. Let your words be measured, not apologetic. And let your presence be firm enough that people feel it without you having to announce it. Being too nice has already taken enough from you. This year is about taking yourself back one honest decision at a time. So as you step into 2026, remember this: your life will not change because you became nicer, quieter, or more agreeable. It will change the moment you decide to respect yourself enough to stop betraying your own truth. Being too nice kept you surviving, not living. It kept you tolerated, not valued. And now you know better. You don't need to harden your heart to grow stronger. You need to stop giving it to places that never protected it. You don't need to fight everyone to prove your strength. You just need the courage to walk away when something no longer honors who you are becoming. Strength is not loud. It's calm, grounded, and clear. In 2026, let your actions come from self-respect, not fear. Let your kindness be intentional, not automatic. Let your silence be a choice, not a habit. When you stop being too nice, you make room for honesty, discipline, and peace. And from that place, your life begins to align. Choose yourself without guilt. Stand firm without anger. Move forward without explaining. That's not selfish. That's growth.